Part 53. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 544. Chapter 526 Competitors with a Broken Mentality, 35. The Island in the Center of the World. Elf Battle Arena. The summer on the sea is still so hot. On the elf battleground near the sea breeze that blows from time to time can take away some of the heat. This is a great time to engage in elf battles. A total of 30 elf battles are ongoing in the 5 major regions. For the elf battles that have ended, there are still new players ready to take the field and wait for a new round of battles. Woods, surface area. A male trainer from the Amazon rainforest region of South America, Utically, and a male trainer from the Pacaya volcano region are having a wonderful duel. Both trainers only have the last remaining elf that can fight. The remaining 5 elf all lost their fighting ability in the elf battle. In this battle, the two sides fought extremely fiercely. You come and I go back and forth, but the final winner is the winner. Still unpredictable. Bulbasa, the final battle is up to you. Although our opponent is Charizard's physical strength is almost exhausted. Utically looked nervously at Bulbasaur beside him. I hope that I can encourage Bulbasaur to defeat the opponent's Charizard together. Opponent Kimboka stared at Utically eagerly, and said solemnly to the fire-breathing dragon beside him, "Man, we come from Pacaya, that is our home, the glory of our volcano. In this battle, although our physical strength is somewhat inferior, our opponent is Bulbasaur who was restrained by you." Whoop! The high-spirited wings of the Charizard once again spread out, and the two nostrils seemed to be breathing out a thick hot breath. Feeling the scorching sunshine in the sky, the Charizard once again left his trainer and came to the battle. In the venue. Bulbasaur, let's go. This battle between elves was already quite difficult, and could even be described as tragic. However, trainers from both sides will not take a step back. They have come this far, and only by winning can their elves be rewarded for their efforts on the battlefield. Charizard, Flame Vortex. Bulbasaur, use Venom Shock. When the fiery red blazing vortex rushed towards the purple venom, in this hot environment, the power of the fire-based moves was increased. Even though the fire breathed out by the fire-breathing dragon was not like the original, it still defeated the venom. The impact ignited the flames on Bulbasaur. Burning state. Bulbasaur, Utically shouted. The Bulbasaur flower had an obvious black burnt state, but on the huge bright flower behind it, layers of white light spots began to gradually condense. The brighter and brighter light is a sign of accumulating power to use the sun flame. No. Charizard is unable to withstand the flames of the sun in its current state of exertion, even if it is a grass type, but Charizard's physical strength is almost exhausted now. Kimboka's forehead was dripping with sweat. Charizard, use the final collision. The target is the flower on Bulbasaur's back, interrupting the power of the sun's flames. Delusion. Bulbasaur, speed up your energy storage. Utically almost saw the hope of winning this elf duel in the end. The opponent's fire-breathing dragon wanted to counter-attack in a desperate situation, which was simply a dream. Woo! At this moment, the long-breathing sound of the whistle seemed to come from the sea outside the island. Bulbasaur almost seemed to be stunned. The sun's flames on its back were about to condense, and they even forgot to continue to condense. The flowers immediately lost their luster. The next second, the entire battlefield seemed to be affected by something, and it suddenly shook up and down. Jinboka, who had his back to the sea, was completely unaware of what was happening, and was completely ecstatic in his heart. Bulbasaur's solar flame charge is interrupted. Although I don't know how it was interrupted, this is a huge opportunity for Kimboka. Charizard. Kill it. However, the fire-breathing dragon that had begun to land rapidly in the air started to tremble. He felt a strong dangerous aura behind him. This aura came from the fear of his life instinct. Charizard looked back. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it, once you look at it, you want to run away. You. Jinboka only saw Charizard changing direction as he was about to complete the final blow. When he came towards him, he felt anxious, but Charizard stretched out his claws and grabbed the collar of Jinboka's clothes and quickly pulled him away from the battlefield. The next second, when Kimboka felt a loud noise coming from behind, he subconsciously glanced back. Rolling sea water flew in like a fountain. Huge blue figures, like spaceships, soared from the sea. Give up struggling. There is still a long way to go before I can defeat my big steel snake with the power of physics. Sato Fuji, a player from Sakura country, proudly stood beside his big steel snake, looking at him with cold eyes. The right opponent. As Sato Fuji's opponent, Elna is not that strong. She has never thought about defeating her opponent in the World Masters. She just came here to see the world. However, this time, her legs were so weak that she couldn't walk when she saw behind her opponent, the sea wave that was like a curtain trying to cover it down. She panicked for a moment. Forgot about running away. In Sato Fuji's eyes, that is the fear of his opponents against his big steel snake. This feeling, especially the feeling of having a girl look up to him, this is definitely a kind of psychological satisfaction for Sato Fuji. However, the inexplicable darkening in the sky made him a little confused. When he and his big steel snake raised their heads and looked at the flying sea water, their eyes were wider than those of their age. What are you doing here? Run away. Help, help. Oh no, those roaring whale kings in the sea, why are they so crazy? Why are they spraying water on the islands all over the place? Isn't someone going to make the roaring whale king angry? No. Impossible. If the howling whale king gets angry, the entire island will sink to the bottom of the sea. What happened? Why are those howling whale kings rising and falling on the sea? Could it be that you're dancing to a disco? Smile, laugh, smile, you are just a fool, you are a big-headed idiot, you are doing disco, don't go to disco in the future. The roaring whale king knows how to do disco, I will chop off my head and play it as a ball for you. Just around the place where the elves battled, kings of howler whales emerged from the sea one after another. At the same time, they raised a curtain of water and sprayed water in the excitement of the move, and quickly attacked in the direction of the battleground. Axie. Catfish King, you ate the wrong person. I am your master. I asked you to come out to save me, not to let you eat me. Help. The trainers who were still engaged in the battle between the elves in the venue were all devastated. What happened this year? Why did they inexplicably attract the howling whale king from the bottom of the sea? You. A roaring whale king whose jumping ability is obviously better than other companions is like a big fat bomb in the deep sea. With a boom, it seems that it accidentally jumped over its head in excitement and jumped to the battlefield. And also brought up a whole water curtain. The neck twists, the butt twists. Blink, blink. Bounce, bounce. I'll write again after dinner, weekly asking for votes. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 545. The roaring whale king has landed on the central island of the world. Is it out of mind or something? Yang Yu, isn't it what Reggie Locke said before, because the powerful rhythm in the secret realm caused too much internal reverberation, affecting the roaring whale king outside? Then it's not that hard to imagine that he crossed over from the sea to the island. Could it be that we still need our help to carry him back to the sea? Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian, who secretly poked their heads out of the eye of Island Lake, were just like the people in the chat group who suddenly appeared after diving for a long time and looked familiar. They didn't know what happened or what else was going on. Just scroll up and read the chat records out of context. However, as long as you continue to dive and peek at the subsequent chat history, you will be able to understand roughly what happened. Come on, let's follow and take a look. Okay, let's change into the diving suit first. Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian quickly changed their clothes. Soon, there were two more melon eaters who didn't know the truth in the crowd. Even if they felt a little guilty in their hearts about the secret realm, they of course he won't say anything. Lao Wan, what happened here? Yang Yu sat on Wu Yuqian Bai Diao and quickly rushed to the lively elf battlefield. He immediately asked when he saw his acquaintance Wan Kaizu. Hey. Wan Kaizu wiped his mouth with his elbow, but still couldn't help laughing. He arched his eyebrows and smiled so happily that he didn't know how happy he was. Aren't you crazy? Wu Yuqian and Yang Yu looked at each other with confused expressions. Wan Kaizu spoke like a hiccup, and he was laughing so hard. Hey hiccup Yang Yu, hiccup mine. This roaring whale king is jumping hiccup. Yang Yu. Wu Yuqian. Looking at the way Wan Kaizu hiccups on his back from time to time, it seems to be very rhythmic. The person who is really dancing is you Wan Kaizu. Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian respectively poked their heads from Bai Diao and looked down. The big blue roaring whale king below, which occupied a large area of the beach, had a round head and that seemingly the slightly small tail is waving up and down regularly. What's even more interesting is that the hole in the upper part of the roaring whale king emits a fountain as its head and tail sway, creating a regular rhythmic effect. The tail hits the ground pap 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 pap, and while it raises the sand, there is also a percussion sound effect, which helps create a disco atmosphere and makes it particularly exciting. I don't know what's going on with these roaring whale kings. Many of them are jumping around on the elf battleground. Today, people in the elf battle said that as they were fighting, they suddenly had an extra move like spraying water and surfing, the fire element. The elves and ground elves are the most affected. Zhang Huiyu, who was carrying Jin Yifei next to him, smiled slightly and was thinking between his brows. Such a situation. It doesn't fit in with the conventional descriptions of the roaring whale king around the central island of the world. Never before has the howling whale king jumped onto the island's elf battleground. This year, isn't this nonsense? Soon, two trainers in the crowd walked towards the roaring whale king. Zhang Huiyu gestured downward. The people from the World Elf Alliance went to negotiate with the howling whale king. They probably want to help it return to the sea. In full view of everyone, there are still so many howling whale kings in the sea. No trainer will try to catch it. It's a pity. The landing of the howler whale king is a good opportunity to capture it. However, while it is floating on the world island, it is generally not allowed to attack the nearby howler whale king. Wan Kaizu shook his head, with some regret in his eyes. Lao Wan, you are thinking about the roaring whale king, isn't it because your gem starfish is too uncomfortable to sit on? Wu Yuqian joked. Wan Kaizu did not deny it, and nodded happily. Isn't it true? My gem starfish can't even bring a girl. If I can catch the roaring whale king, I can bring a boatload of girls. Oh, yo, there was a lively cheer in the surrounding air. I want to take a boatload of girls. What a beautiful idea. Bao Xiaoyan couldn't help but stick out her tongue in the direction of Wan Kaizu, and even coughed a few times. Li Yuanfang shrugged and said meaningfully, Amen. Ba. Ibrahimovic raised his hands high and nodded in agreement. Whoa. This young roaring whale king issued an invitation to the trainers who were watching. The two small eyes that were very asymmetrical compared to the body even looked forward to it. When the two trainers came to the howler whale king, the howler whale king excitedly flapped his blue fins. Unfortunately, the howler whale king's blue fins could only be slapped on his belly. The beach cannot be photographed on the ground. What is this roaring whale king talking about? Yang Yu was full of doubts. He was thinking about what little Reggie Locke said in the secret realm, and a thought arose in his subconscious. Could it be that he's looking for someone to dance with him? Yeah. Dede, who was following behind Bai Diao, scratched the back of his head gently and poked Yang Yu with one hand. Dede understood what the roaring whale king was saying. King Slow, King Whale, are you really thinking about dancing? The person who asked this was not Yang Yu or Wu Yuqin, but Wan Kaizu, who was laughing and burping. Wan Kaizu didn't expect it. He just asked casually and didn't want to guess anything. Who knows? Yeah. Dede actually nodded seriously. Wan Kaizu was stunned when he was on Bai Diao's back. Every year there are some small episodes in the World Masters. Of course, those are just small episodes, some small and medium-sized talking points. They can be basically forgotten after the game is over, but it is different now. When the two trainers from the World Elf Alliance understood exactly what the Roaring Whale King was talking about with the help of their own elves, they looked at each other in confusion. Whoa whoa whoa. The Roaring Whale King was like a seal, immediately humming and swaying on the spot, and at the same time, the fountain on its back started to beat again. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Bang bang. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Bang bang. Looking at the Roaring Whale King, who suddenly became excited, the two trainers subconsciously took a few steps back. After all, if the Roaring Whale King in front of them accidentally presses on them, both of them will turn into meat. Don't say that this is just the Roaring Whale King moving its position, but for humans, this is more terrifying than Kirbymon's Tarzan. This is a big Roaring Whale King. The Roaring Whale King said, "You must play disco with it. If you don't do it, it will not go back to the sea. Even if we are sent back to the sea, it will definitely jump back up. How could there be such a willful elf? This, why did you suddenly think of disco? How could the Roaring Whale King be related to disco? I don't know. Look at it like this, we can only convey the meaning of the Roaring Whale King to the trainers on the island in the center of the world. This is an opportunity for them to gain the favor of the Roaring Whale King." The two trainers from the World Elf Alliance were also helpless. Seeing the Roaring Whale King in front of them lying in the arena of the elf battleground and acting like a fool, looking like he would stay here if he didn't want to dance with him, both of them had a headache. The fight failed, and there were so many Howler Whale Kings outside still wandering around the edge of the island. They were all supporting this Howler Whale King jumping up. If they dared to take action, the island in the center of the world would probably sink early. It can't be chased away. How heavy the Roaring Whale King must be, and how many elves have to be dispatched to carry it. It even said before that if it was moved to the sea, it would jump up again on its own. Dialaloo. Isn't this just jumping up and down to touch porcelain? Just cheating. You. Seeing that the Roaring Whale King in front of them had begun to urge, the two negotiators had nothing to do. Then we can only let the trainer have fun with the Roaring Whale King. That's the only way. The two looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They didn't expect that one day they would be tortured by a Roaring Whale King and there was no way they could do anything about it. Why? Soon, the two trainers immediately returned to the crowd and issued notices at the same time. I'm afraid this Roaring Whale King is not a joke sent by Dahai. How could such a thing happen? What should we do in the battle between elves? Can we still fight well? But what does the Elf Alliance say to make the Roaring Whale King happy? Damn it, we came to the central island of the world to play a game. It's an elf battle, not a disco show. But, if this can attract the attention of the Roaring Whale King. That's right. Needless to say, the strategic significance of the Roaring Whale King is a strategic resource elf for any region. It is of great help in the deep sea, and even in some hidden undersea secrets. They all need the power of the Roaring Whale King to explore. Sato-kun immediately sends someone to tell the teacher that the best disco dancers in Sakura Kingdom, and by the way, the most disco dancers and elf trainers, will all be brought to the center island of the world. I have a premonition, this year's World Masters is likely to have changes. Yes. I'll go right away. Sato Fuji, who was attacked by the sea water in the battle between the spirits, immediately changed his clothes and at the same time, headed towards the camp in an instant. It's interesting. The roaring whale king who likes disco dancing has never appeared in the World Masters in the past many years, but this year, who could it be? Is there someone disco dancing on the island, which affects the roaring whale king? Lily Sakura looked towards the ground below. There are trainers who have spontaneously formed a disco team. In order to allow the howling whale king to leave the elf battle arena, they have been forced to start business. However, for some trainers, disco dancing is not only not a shameful thing, it is even very fun. The roaring whale king's favor, master, this is too important to you. Shakaris looked serious. Ivan nodded slightly, shook his head again, put an index finger on his lips. One roaring whale king is not enough. I also have a roaring whale in my royal garden. A roaring whale. The whale king's favorability is nothing more than that. What I want is the friendship of the entire group of roaring whale kings. The master is wise, Shakaris echoed again and again. Ivan waved and motioned for Shakaris to come closer. Go, I remember there is a trainer in our team who has Lottie Kappa, let Lottie Kappa come on. Yes. Karanya. Great, we are going to make a fortune. My Lottie Kappa, oh my god. I never thought that my Lottie Kappa would come in handy one day, and it's not just a battle between elves. Akarov, this is really great. Lottie Kappa's disco rockability is the best among almost all elves. I really didn't expect that he would have such luck. The ecstatic Akarov immediately took out a pokeball from his hand, raised his head towards his side, and proudly summoned his Lottie Kappa. Da-da-da-diddy-da-da-da. Kawakiwa. At the same time, the trainers who had summoned Lottie Kappa like Akarov felt an unexpected sense of joy in their hearts. In the past, when the elves were fighting, because they chose Lottie Kappa as their own elves, they had almost no desire to fight. They even wanted to get the opponent's elves to sing and dance together during the elf battle. This made this type of trainer a laughing stock in the battle between elves. But it's different now. In order to establish a good relationship with the roaring whale king, Lottie Kappa, who only knows how to play, instantly became a hot commodity, and a cheerful bio like Lottie Kappa, who was a good elf trainer, instantly became the most beautiful scenery among the crowd. Brother Wu, why are there so many Lottie Kappas? It's not just singers, rock bands, and other trainers who would choose these elves. Yang Yu blinked. The scene in front of him was truly unforgettable. There are many trainers here whose first elf is not necessarily strong in combat. Just like the Lotus Leaf Boy, it still has good combat power after evolving into the Lotus Hat Boy. However, after evolving into the final form of Lottie Kappa, the path becomes crooked. Wu Yuqian still knew some information, so he explained to Yang Yu. While I was beating him, I took your little elf's hand and started dancing cha-cha, tango, and some even danced matador. I remember I met him once before. Wang Kaizu added with a twitching corner of his mouth. Obviously that time the elf battle left a deep impression on him. Zhang Huiyu added, Lottie Kappa is still a popular elf in the West, Europe, and the United States. Some families particularly like these Lottie Kappas that can bring joy and power to their children, so it is not surprising that they are available here. It's just that the painting style is inexplicably distorted. What a mess this is. Why is it that the roaring whale king jumps up and wants to dance? Who on earth is messing around on this island? The roaring whale king doesn't think about disco by himself, so who played the music outside? Did he turn it up to the loudest? Wang Kaizu complained casually. But he didn't notice that Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian, who were right next to him, looked up at the sky almost at the same time, as if the matter had nothing to do with them. It wasn't them. Real. They know nothing. The roaring whale king himself has exhausted some energy in the sea, let alone staying on the island for a long time. He is almost done dancing and having fun. It is time to go back. As if sending an ancestor away, the trainers used countless elves to work together to send the Howler Whale King back to the sea. Just when they all breathed a sigh of relief, Lottie Kappa seemed to be still a little reluctant to pursue happiness, so he made a sound of reluctance. Woo! The roaring Whale King silently turned back, his two little eyes reluctant to leave, as if they turned into a bright beacon in an instant. It'll be back tomorrow. Awesome. Aim for more than 4 updates tomorrow. Please vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Shao. Chapter 546. Little Reggie Rock, if you dare to jump again, don't blame me for being rude. Ah! Incompetent humans, if you don't want to jump, you can't jump. Why are you so fierce? Little Reggie Locke's head that rotated like a motor immediately stopped, and all the gravel suspended around him fell to the ground, and at the same time rolled and gathered in the direction of little Reggie Locke. His tone was like that of a well-behaved baby who had been wronged. He sat on the ground and said nothing else. How is the island doing now? Is it really sinking? This is what Yang Yu is worried about now. After returning from the elf battle arena, the trainers on the ground reported that there was a strong vibration on the island. In addition, Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian almost fell down due to the vibration of the island in the secret realm. Yang Yu, there's no reason not to worry about this. Usually this doesn't happen. This time it's my fault. Don't blame Tijipai. This is my first time dancing, I have no experience. Little Reggie Rock took the initiative. Yang Yu didn't mean to blame him. All in all, the final result was good, at least nothing really happened on the island. The roaring Whale King is very sensitive to the sound waves propagating in the sea. I didn't expect it at first. Let's dance slower from now on. Yang Yu wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Although Yang Yu had once thought about whether Tijipai would sink the island, that was just a wild thought. However, he never expected that an island might actually be sinked. Don't worry, I have controlled the vibration of the rocks inside the island, and it should not affect the roaring Whale King outside. Now that the island's security issues have been basically resolved, and little Reggie Locke is controlling the island, I think there won't be any big problems in the future. Great beauty, come out. Yi. The beauty, whose body is still elegant and free, curled up into a circle in the air, with its slender tail connected end to end with its head, as smooth as gelatin with a faint yellow-white light, like the outline of a full moon, suspended and suspended. This dance. The little guys around Yang Yu all raised their heads, their eyes shining with gleaming light, watching intoxicatedly the beauty in the sky turning as gracefully as a roulette wheel. She understands what I want her to do, Yang Yu's eyes lit up. This time, De Meili came out because she still wanted the Salted Fish King and the Mini Dragon to take her with them to dance the dragon dance that had not officially started last time. Only. As soon as De Meili appeared from the elf ball, she understood why Yang Yu called her out. Yeah. Dede suddenly glanced at Yang Yu's pocket, scratched his head, grinned, then patted Yang Yu's shoulder and pointed to the pocket. Xian seemed like he couldn't help but want to jump out on his own. Mum. The mini dragon raised its head, looking at the dreamlike dance in the sky with its crystal eyes, and for a moment remembered the beautiful and great figure in the colorful aurora scene in his dragon palace home. Its mouth is still wide open, as if it is still thinking about eating something, but it really wants to eat more, even if it can take one more bite, so that it can grow up quickly. Suddenly, Yang Yu felt as if he had been poked twice by something. When he turned around, the Salty Fish King was lying on the ground like this. On that huge head, 2 beards seemed to fall on Yang Yu's head like antennas. Son, Yang Yu looks like a Teletubbies or a scarab beetle. This time, the Salted Fish King came out of the elf ball by himself. He actually didn't make any noise, or even roar. He just stared at the beige spinning figure in the sky with his eyes. This is completely different from the dance of the Salted Fish King, the dance of the Kui Long, the dance of the Mini Dragon, and the dance of Little Reggie Locke. Perhaps, rotating slowly like this. Yang Yu murmured softly. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. The beautiful figure suspended in the sky almost revealed a layer of mysterious dragon power, and this dragon power made the Salted Fish King's huge eyes glare. If there is background music at this moment, it must be an antique and charming dance with a long melody, just like the majestic, elegant, and dignified dance among the ancient royal family. It's the dance of the dragon. Little Reggie Locke's 7 orange pillars flashed. This increase in speed and power seems to continue to condense bit by bit. As the great beauty spins to form a beautiful roulette scroll in the air, it swings out into a vigorous but more elegant dragon dance. Aha! The figure of the mini dragon seems to want to dance with the big beauty suspended in the air. There is even a faint mist in its purple eyes. It wants to jump into the air to feel the unique dragon dance, or rather, more like the mysterious dance of its mother. This is something Kui Long's dragon dance doesn't have at all. The big strings are noisy like the rain, and the small strings are like whispers. If we say that Kui Long's rhythm highlights its fastness, the noisy drum beat is like an emperor about to enter the battlefield, while the melody of meanness in the colorful aurora of the dragon palace is dignified and magnificent. She is as majestic as a queen guarding the harem and nurturing the world. Me. The eager mini dragon hates that it can only crawl on the ground. If it can fly, it can jump into the air and dance with a big beauty that is very much like its mother, with a majestic and long history. Dance of Dragons. If it weren't for having more power. Why does the mini dragon try so hard to eat everything it can? Everything that can provide energy for the mini dragon, even if it is hot food that is still burning, it is still willing to jump into the pot to fight for a piece of food that can make it stronger. The mini dragon always knew in his heart. If it wants to go to that unknown reverse world with its father Kui Long in the future, it must be strong enough. Hunger is the best motivation. The injury on its big white nose still hadn't healed, but it made it feel the pain of the fire. There is also the ice cream that makes her stomach hurt after eating it, which makes her understand that if she encounters Bingbing's power in the future, she must be careful. The second dance of the dragons. When the second wave of dragon power rippled in this space, the great beauty spinning in the air finally changed its original pattern, no longer relying solely on the round outline. Go help the mini dragon and let it get closer to the big beauty with the help of superpowers. Yang Yu whispered. He nodded blankly, and a superpower full of friendliness and gentleness was concentrated on the mini dragon. The mini dragon's lost head suddenly raised up, looking further and further away from the ground, and at the same time getting closer and closer to the big beauty. The pair of faintly crystal eyes suddenly burst into bright light. Mold. This is not the first time that the mini dragon sheds its skin, but this time it sheds its skin more actively than before, and it happens faster. Every time she sheds her skin, she can bring new power to the mini dragon, even if it is just a little bit, but as the little things accumulate, they reach the peak of accumulation. It's time for the mini dragon to transform into a hack dragon. In the secret realm, the outline of the second small full moon is completed. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Shao. Chapter 547. String your heart, my heart, on a string, on a clover, in concentric circles. Looking at the two beautiful circles of different colors suspended in the air at this moment, Yang Yu remembered a few lyrics. However, Yang Yu covered his mouth and almost hummed. He couldn't let his humming ruin the beautiful picture at this moment. Although the mini dragon's movements are a bit clumsy and it is difficult to control its balance, with the help of Dadu, it will not fall from the air. The circle formed by the mini dragon's white belly and the blue-purple dragon scales on its back is like a cream donut wrapped in blueberry jam. Under the brilliance emanating from the big beauty, it seems like dots of stars. The mini-dragon worked hard to make his figure look like the big beauty, and wanted to use this method to get close to the figure in his mind that was connected by blood. This is the miniature dragon's way of remembering. Behind the small circle formed by the mini-dragon, there is a large beige circle, and the fan-shaped tail blocks the beautiful face for a moment, just like the beautiful woman behind the bead curtain in ancient times, rolling the bead curtain, and fan-tail cover your face, the sparks are like eyes. In the faint blood-red central pattern on the fan, the blood was gradually boiling at this moment. The dance of the dragon is still very slow, but the dragon's power is getting stronger and stronger. Suddenly, Yang Yu felt like a moving train in front of him, gradually passing by the huge bright blue dragon body. The Salted Fish King wants to dance with the great beauty. However, the idea was great. When the Salted Fish King came behind Male, he also wanted to form a circular posture and dance together. Boom! The Salted Fish King fell to the ground uncontrollably, splashing a burst of dust at the same time. Yi! Light clouds and mist gradually began to surround Male's body, and at the same time, it surrounded the mini-dragon. At the same time, it blocked all the dust splashed by the Salted Fish King's water splash. Elegance continues. The little dream demon rubbed his eyes. Did he see it wrong just now? Why did the Salted Fish King suddenly fall to the ground? What happened? Poppy. Tajapai in Yang Yu's arms was very happy to see it. Tajapai also particularly likes such wonderful movements. But the problem is, Yang Yu and Dede glanced at each other, and then looked at the Salted Fish King who fell to the ground. The Salted Fish King seems like he can't do such a dance move, right? The beautiful body and the body of a mini-dragon are light and soft, and Yang Yu is not surprised that he can make such elegant movements. This kind of balancing ability itself is what they are relatively good at. Just for the Salted Fish King. The Salted Fish King blinked on the ground. He must have accidentally failed to stabilize himself in the air just now. This must be the case. There will definitely be no problem if he does it again. In front of Yang Yu's eyes, the Salted Fish King who failed to control his balance and fell directly to the ground slowly floated into the air again, and then he wanted to make a circle in the air like a big beauty, but the whole body was made of hard dragon. How does the scaly Salted Fish King control such a rotational balance? Boom! Yang Yu was dumbfounded and saw that just behind the concentric circles formed by the beautiful mini-dragons and minas, the giant Salted Fish King directly grabbed the ground with its head, once again shaking up a lot of dust. At the same time, more and more white mist surrounds Big Beauty and Mini-Dragon, as if there is a fairy spirit lingering around them, and no turbid air around them can affect them. Salted Fish King went to the back to add 50 cents for special effects. Yang Yu subconsciously touched his head, and found that Dede beside him was also rubbing his head with him. Alu. Blinking blankly, he seemed to know Xiangxian's situation. This action is still very difficult for Xian to do. Not saying that the Salted Fish King was going to cause trouble, Yang Yu was already giving him face. The dragon dance, which has such a distant and dignified atmosphere, is not suitable for a fierce dragon like the Salted Fish King. It caused a huge noise and even raised dust. If it weren't for the white mist move of Male, both it and Mini-Dragon would have been affected by the dust. However, this is also a good thing. There are things that the Salted Fish King cannot do, such as the beautiful dance with softness in front of him, such a movement that is like entering a state of selflessness and is not even affected by the Salted Fish King. If the Salted Fish King wants to do it, then new training must be carried out. Especially the balance at this time. Want to dance as a couple with the Big Beauty? Want two dragons playing with beads? Okay, then you have to be able to keep up with the beautiful dance. The Salted Fish King is strong, but it also has shortcomings. Yang Yu knows very well that if the Salted Fish King wants to continue to improve his fighting strength, He no longer relies solely on this strength, but also needs to add a little bit of micromanaging. Dance of the Dragon is a small training method to help the Salted Fish King improve his micromanagement. It's just that Yang Yu didn't expect that De Male's dragon dance was more incredible than he imagined. In this way, if the Salted Fish King wanted to achieve a long-lasting dragon dance like De Male, then he would have to great effort. Yeah. Dada asked Xian if he wanted his help. Xian shook his head and coughed in the dust he raised. How could he be compared to the beauty? This is about the dignity of a salted fish. He is no ordinary salted fish, he is the Salted Fish King. Boom. Boom boom. Boom boom boom. The bursts of dust, even with the efforts of the Salted Fish King, picked up a rhythm and knew when to stir, when to swing away, and even when to roll in like a wave. This special effect is worth $1.50. 50 cents each, and the Salted Fish King added 3 more. Little Reggie Locke next to him was dumbfounded, and even the 7 orange beads turned into confused white. This is there a stupid dragon? Isn't it? The Salted Fish King wants to touch his own tail with his head like the great beauty. However, he can do it on the ground, but he cannot do it while slowly hanging in the air on the ground. Eyes, Ma Dong Mei. Brain, what kind of plum is Ma? Action, Sun Hunglei. The steps are reversed. If the Salted Fish King flies in the air first, and then makes the big and beautiful movement of slowly rotating in circles, the head will not be able to reach the tail. Next, when I thought about using my head to reach the tail, my movements started to get messy, and then with a boom, another burst of dust rose from the ground. A few minutes later. I don't know how many times the Salted Fish King has failed, but this time he finally started spinning around in the air. It's barely like a big windmill, and it can spin slowly. Not far away from him, the superpower in his eyes was fully exerted. So delicious. Let me tell you quickly, I care deeply, no matter how difficult the dance of the dragon is, it doesn't matter. My heart is with you. However, before the Salty Fish King was beaming with pride for long, an elegant figure next to him moved as if he had just completed his warm-up. Under the circle, an ethereal sound suddenly came out. Yi. The third dragon power blooms again. Roar. The Salted Fish King's pupils shrank. The third dance of dragons. He can only dance twice. Great beauty. He actually danced for the third time. If it doesn't chirp, that's it. If it chirps, it's amazing. Please vote. Please vote. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 548. King Salted Fish, can you do it? The beauty can swim faster than you. Hurry up. Roar. Under the island, 2 figures quickly rushed out from the island like deep-sea missiles launched. A body shape is more delicate and elegant than a water snake, and the fan blades unfolding at the tail add a touch of sharpness to the elegance. The figure is majestic and thick, like a swimming dragon, and the densely packed azure blue scales on his body add a touch of elegance to the power and domineering. Yi. The beautiful and joyful sound blooms on the bottom of the sea. Wherever the sound goes, the creatures on the bottom of the sea seem to wake up from their deep sleep and listen to the beautiful singing from the beauty of the sea. Roar. When the Salted Fish King entered, the undersea creatures that had just woken up a short time ago were so frightened that they all shut up and went back. What had just happened and why they had to wake up, at that moment, they were all confused. Wow! Devil! Yang Yu, who was holding the dragon-scaled body tightly with both hands on the back of the Salted Fish King, was running on the seabed so fast that he couldn't see clearly. However, the swish water flowing by him in an instant made Yang Yu felt that the speed was incredibly fast. Behind him, in the dragon scale area with Dede's mark, Dede spread his short legs upright, holding Tijipai in his arms, as if putting a seat belt on Tijipai. The little dream demon is now holding the golden conch cap on his head. From a high place, he can see it more clearly. After all, Yang Yu was lying on the back of the Salted Fish King. Salted Fish King. Hurry up, if you don't hurry up, you will be left behind, Yang Yu urged heartlessly on his back. This is an excellent way for the Salted Fish King to complete the third dragon dance. The Salted Fish King knows that he is provoking a general, so he has to take this move. After 3 dragon dances, De Male could be even faster than the Salted Fish King. Poppy. Roar. Surfing, give it to me. There is a long distance from the center island of the world. The chase between Salted Fish King and De Male on the sea surface does not attract too much attention. At this moment, Yang Yu, who came to the sea, reached the top of Salty Fish King's head with the help of Dudu, holding one hand firmly on the blue triceratops horn on Salty Fish King's head. Putting on his sunglasses and feeling the whistling sea breeze around him, Yang Yu smelled the smell of freedom. It's a pity that I don't have a straw hat. By the way, I still need a pair of slippers. Otherwise, I can also be a pirate king for fun. Yang Yu grinned. Yeah. Enjoying this free wind, I opened my short arms and began to embrace the sea and blue sky. King Slow is known as the sage of the sea in the elf world. Under the broad blue sea and blue sky, everything is so leisurely and beautiful. Yi. The speed of releasing the suppressed beauty finally slowed down. At this moment, it was like jumping and splashing on the water like Carp King. Jumping out from under the sea, and then falling vertically down with an extremely graceful posture, like an excellent diver, falling into the sea with only a small splash. Especially the fan-shaped tail seems to draw the final curtain for this dance. Yi. The beautiful girl with an elegant and dignified posture, a little bit of mischief in her expression, winked towards Yang Yu and the Salted Fish King, who were above the head of the Salted Fish King, blinked her left eye, tilted her head, and shook her head. Hairy fins. Are you ready to go back? Yang Yu stretched out his hand to block the scorching sunshine in the sky. This place is some distance away from the central island of the world. However, in the inner secret realm of the central island, it is impossible to fully unfold the beautiful dragon dance. Now, with a deep understanding after this experience, Yang Yu had to sigh with emotion. Just like the Salted Fish King, the evolution from the Carp King to the Gyarados has a vigorous power that increases the elf's strength beyond imagination. But I didn't expect that the Great Beauty has a deeper foundation than the Salted Fish. Wang is even deeper. But it's normal to think about it. When he first raised the Salted Fish King, Yang Yu didn't have so many elf resources, but when it came to cultivating De Mei, the elf resources were greatly skewed, and the quality of the energy cubes alone was not of the same level. Yang Yu knew it in his heart. The current strength and achievements are inseparable from the hard work of King Xian Yu. Salted Fish King, let's go back. The big beauty jumped up and wrapped itself around the Salted Fish King's neck again. The swaying fan-shaped tail seemed to be showing off its power to the Salted Fish King. This made the Salted Fish King burst into tears. What can it do? It is also desperate. Who knew that Great Beauty could successfully perform the dragon dance 3 times? Status moves like this will become increasingly difficult to improve in the future. The 7 times of meditation during Lao Hu's super evolution left a deep impression on the Salted Fish King. Roar. The Salted Fish King's eyes flickered. Perhaps. Gotta get beaten. Go find powerful elves, like. For a moment, a figure inexplicably popped up in Salty Fish King's mind. Overlord Megalodon? Go to the sea to find the Overlord Megalodon and let him come and beat each other with you. The Salty Fish King and the Overlord Megalodon are not mortal enemies. These elves always have to be in harmony. The Overlord Megalodon hunts in the ocean for survival. However, the Salted Fish King will not forget that there are scales with the mark of a small fish on his neck. When the time comes, he will capture that guy as a sandbag training partner. Anyway, the overlord Megalodon is also rough-skinned and thick-bodied. After we go back, let's go challenge the gym. The elves under the gym level trainers can hone your strength very well. Yang Yu gently patted the salted fish king on the head and looked back. Great beauty all around. Yi. The big and beautiful hair-like fins are fluttering in the wind, showing a heroic appearance, and the graceful and luxurious look between the brows also has a unique sassiness. Yang Yu touched the energy cube box from his pocket and replenished the energy cube box. He will probably need to replenish it soon. Mini Dragon, it's time to eat. Mum. Whoosh. The speed is still so fast. The mini dragon wrapped around Dudu's neck is now faster than before. However, on the long neck of the salted fish king, the mini dragon is like a caterpillar. Turning upward, at this speed, you can go up Mount Chuna. Woo! Woo! After going out for a while and getting closer to the central island, Yang Yu suddenly stood up on the head of the salted fish king. King Salted Fish, let's fly to the sky and have a look. Roar! Just at the edge of the elf battlefield near the coast, the figure of the howling whale king began to surge again. Look at this. No way. Who the hell died the pig? The pig's sudden advance is not as scary as the roaring whale king, right? High in the sky, in Yang Yu's sight, a huge roaring whale king, like a huge sea pig dyed ocean blue, jumped from the sea to the island with a snap. What's more interesting is what's behind. The roaring whale king who wants to jump to the island, directly puts his head on the butt and tail of the roaring whale king in front. The roaring whale king didn't come up, but fell into the sea again. How could anyone land on an island like this? Etc., etc. Yang Yu was suddenly shocked. Isn't something big going to happen again? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 549. Something bad has happened. The roaring whale king is here again. What? The roaring whale king didn't come yesterday, why did he come today? No, there is more than one today. Those roaring whale kings seem to be queuing up to get to the island. They are crazy. The first roaring whale king to come to the island even wants to climb in. Did it crawl in? No, the blue fin of the howling whale king couldn't touch the beach at all. It was pushed up by the howling whale king behind with its water spray. Quick, go and take a look. Huiguo Camp. Xiao Yan. Come here quickly. My EV has reacted to predict danger. Come here quickly. It's coming. Yuan Fang, look at my instrument here, the island, there is something wrong with the island's balance measurement. With such a value, has it been 30 days on the island? Xiao Yan, this is only the 12th day. What does it mean that it has been 30 days? Yuan Fang, something is wrong. According to the balance record of the world center island given by our teacher, if it exceeds this critical value, the island will sink to the bottom of the sea. But on the current calendar, there are indeed only 12 days. Li Yuanfang, who hurriedly picked up the measuring instrument, frowned, and a cold sweat started to flow on her forehead. No, it's impossible. The central island is going to sink early. What happened? Let's go, something big happened again over there at the elf battleground. This is related to the safety of the entire island. With so many trainers on the island, although the life safety will basically not be a problem, this is the scene of the World Masters. If the island really sinks in advance, what will happen to the competition? Manage. What happened to these roaring whale kings this year? It's like he's on stimulants. Also, why are you suddenly thinking about disco dancing? Be sure to appease these roaring whale kings. At this time, Trainers were already crowding around the center island's elf battle arena, and their eyes were all focused on the howling Whale King, who was lining up to land on the island. These roaring Whale King sounds are not caused by anger, but are caused by too much happiness. The disco is on the head. The World Elf Alliance personnel were able to cast sleep powder or elves using hypnosis, but they could not soothe the howling Whale King. Even if he were to step forward to help, the sound of the roaring Whale King's water spray could easily cause unknown AoE damage to the elves and trainers. These roaring Whale Kings. I don't know if it was the roaring Whale King that was the first to come ashore to eat crabs yesterday. Today, these roaring Whale Kings want to jump to the shore. You can't attack with moves. This paralysis powder, hypnotic powder, and even hypnosis are useless. If the roaring Whale King continues to make such a noise, my God, what happened to this year's World Masters? What to do next? No, it's hard to say. We need to appease these roaring Whale Kings first. But, how can this be comforted? Lottie Kappa has been dispatched. It's useless to send the Lottie Kappa. The most important thing now is that the roaring Whale Kings behind must land safely, otherwise the island will feel like it will be washed away. But what if they sink the island once they land? The extremely lively discussions all revolved around a very likely problem. Will the central island of the world sink because of the landing of the howling Whale King? Actually, at this time, the island is already showing signs of sinking, but the speed is very slow. Unless precise measuring instruments are used to detect it, it is impossible to detect it with the naked eye. Senior brother Jian, what's going on now? Yang Yu took back the big beauty in advance, and at the same time discovered the most eye-catching eagle in the sky. Around Wu Yuqian's eagle, there seemed to be a few female eagles that looked over from time to time, as if he coveted Wu Yuqian's body. At the same time, there was deep hostility in the eyes between each other. Yang Yu, just like yesterday, I guess you want to come to the shore to dance, but there are a lot of roaring Whale Kings here today. Wu Yuqian looked at the situation below, a little speechless. There are a lot of eagles around. Yang Yu glanced around and joked. Wu Yuqian smiled softly and shrugged. The competition around them is not very good, and the trainers have not trained them well. When Yang Yu came to Wu Yuqian Baidiao sitting on the Salted Fish King, many of the Baidiao around him were frightened by the Salted Fish King. The trainer on his back was also cursing, as if he was not satisfied with such a domineering behavior of Xian Yu. The Fish King was very dissatisfied. One thing to say, indeed, the wings of the Salted Fish King actually softened when I saw him. Lao Wan's Baidiao is pretty good, but after all, like your Baidiao, it is a male Baidiao. Yang Yu nodded. Road. Okay, let's be honest, your Salted Fish King is not an ordinary Gyarados. Wu Yuqian waved, and with the help of the dream-inducing taper, he got on the back of Yang Yu's Salted Fish King. I have a premonition that this year's World Center Island is going to sink early. Junior brother Han, if it really sinks early, in the final analysis, will it really be caused by the two of us? Wu Yuqian's voice was so soft that only he and Yang Yu could hear it. To be honest, Yang Yu's eyelids were twitching as he looked at the roaring Whale King advancing so fast below. What about this matter? Even if it sinks by then, it was the King of Roaring Whales who did it, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian. If it sinks in advance, it won't have much impact. It may even be a good thing for us. Yang Yu took a deep breath and thought clearly. No matter how big the reward of the World Masters is, it can be bigger than the secret realm. The income from it? Not to mention the giant Clawmantis Megastone, the birth of little Reggie Locke, even if it is just an incomplete core of wisdom, is enough to set off a craze for exploring the world's elven secret realms. Yes, it is indeed a good thing to say, but look at the scene below. Oh my God, how can this roaring Whale King be so stupid? I want to go down and give them orders, and I can't even queue up to go ashore. Is it so difficult for the roaring Whale King to move ashore early? From Wu Yuqian's perspective in the sky, The roaring whale king below is the type who doesn't have enough brains. I just know how to arch my head forward, but don't know how to change the direction. Not all elven species are like our Carp King army. The roaring whale king who has not received Q training is not good. Roar. Yang Yu smacked his lips and made comments in the sky. After some comparisons, this made the Salted Fish King feel very satisfied. Although the Salted Fish King still wanted to shed tears during the previous dragon dance, but he has a lot of experience in training this team. The Salted Fish King who has received military training is just different. Poppy. It's not just the Salted Fish King who has an idea, Tijipai also has the same idea. Yang Yu turned back to look at Tijipai in his arms, and found that this little thing was waving his little hand in a decent manner. From time to time, his left hand shrank and returned, and from time to time he turned to the right. This was Tijipai-chan who was directing the traffic light. Yet. Poppy. Tijipai's finger pointed in the direction of the roaring whale king below. It was going to give instructions to the fatty roaring whale king. Tijipai knows these roaring whale kings. At that time, Toko Pico was like a basketball on the backs of these roaring whale kings, and was passed around through the fountain. It was really fun. The little dream demon put on Tijipai's sunglasses. With such a cool attitude, how could he not play in front of the roaring whale king? The roaring whale king at the front. I also know the little dream demon. Yeah. Dude lifted Pokbai high in his arms. He fully supported Pocky's desire to help the roaring whale king. Not to mention, this is what Tijipai volunteered to help. King Salted Fish, let's go. Go down below and help. Yang Yu went happily. It's him. It's Satan. My dear, I remember his giant Gyarados. What does he want to do? Under the slightly shocked eyes of the trainers, they had no idea what Yang Yu was going to do. Until Yang Yu took Tijipai from Dede's arms. Look. Satan lifts up the cute little elf Tijipai. Poppy. All I saw was that Tijipai's hands were raised like a conductor, and at the same time he gave an order to the roaring whale king in front to move to the right. What is this Tijipai doing? Do you have command skills? But it doesn't seem like there's a move. Interesting. Could it be that you want to command the howler whale king to land peacefully? How can this be? However, when all the roaring whale kings stared at the tiny Tijipai in Yang Yu's hand, it was as if the entire band had found a conductor, and everything was settled and orderly. The roaring whale king is the largest elf currently known in the elf world. Although Tijipai is not the smallest elf, compared with the roaring whale king, the difference is countless times. Such a huge roaring whale king. Would you actually listen to a little elf the size of an elf egg? The first roaring whale king barely managed to roll sideways on the beach at the height of the water surface formed by the spray of water, and then rolled again. In this way, the two bodies were equivalent to giving up. Poppy. Boom. Under the command of Tijipai's little hand, the second roaring whale king jumped up and successfully landed on the shore. Then, it was the same as the previous roaring whale king, except that it rolled towards the other side. Such a magical scene is like a parking lot conductor with rich experience. However, for Tijipai, who is like a child, it is simply like playing house, simple and fun. The world in the eyes of children is much simpler than that in the eyes of adults. Just have some hands. You. When the two fat and strong roaring whale kings came close to each other, the two lumps of flesh on their bodies seemed to collide, and even trembled in waves. Good brother, squeeze. As the roaring whale kings jumped to the island one by one under the command of the commanding master Tijipai, more and more trainers on the ground began to feel that something was wrong. The water on the battlefield seemed to be getting deeper and deeper to the point where the elves were about to be completely submerged by the sea water. Just when Tijipai's little hand made the last point. That is the moment when the last howler whale king was packed side by side like a piece of vacuum sausage. All the howler king whales. Suddenly his eyes widened at the same time. Oh no! The island at the center of the world begins to sink. Ask for a vote. Pokemon's character master. Author, AI Ren Huo Shao. Chapter 550. There are more than 10 roaring whale kings here. These fat-headed and big-bellied roaring whale kings were crowded together, jumping up and down again and again. This movement was even more ruthless than sows fighting for food in a pig pen. Have you ever eaten jelly? The roaring whale king's body is somewhat similar to jelly. The big guys are squeezed together, and the elastic jelly flesh is bouncing visibly to the naked eye. It is precisely because of this that the trainers around are terrified. As the roaring whale king's movements become louder and louder, something is starting to go wrong. The island in the center of the world is starting to sink. A cry of surprise exploded in the crowd like a deep-sea bomb in an instant. What? Is there any mistake? Not long after the World Masters tournament started, the island disappeared as soon as we hit it. Quick! Is this true or false? Whether it's true or not, first summon the flying elf and fly to the sky. Yang Yu, who was on the back of the salted fish king, suddenly heard panicked roars coming from the ground. The trainers below were sitting on their flying elves flying around like headless flies, and some even crashed. What's the situation? Yeah. Dudu's sensing ability far exceeded that of Yang Yu. He immediately discovered the signs of the island sinking and immediately drew it to Yang Yu through a super spoon. The island is sinking. After seeing the message conveyed by Dude, Yang Yu was still confused for a while. Was this a prophecy? How is this possible? The little tiger fangs at the corner of the little dream monster's mouth didn't show up for a long time, but it could already smell a strong fear in the air. It's been a long time since I tasted fear, and today I can finally have a big meal again. Tijipai is so cool. Poppy. Tijipai's hands were no longer ordinary conductors at this time, but kept up with the rhythm of the roaring whale kings below. He changed from a master conductor to a master of rhythm, and this rhythm, it seemed, let the island sink. You. The roaring whale kings noticed something was wrong. Why does this island feel like it is sinking into the sea? They came to this island just to make the dance more realistic. If they returned to the sea, there would be no fun. As a result, these crowded pigs, and whales quickly moved towards the interior of the island, scrambling like pigs rushing forward, not letting anyone go. I haven't even debuted in a sea position yet, so I don't want to go into the sea like this. The further you go into the island, the faster the island seems to sink. This speed can even be observed with the naked eye. What are you doing here? Run away. Master, the data analysis of Metagross has come out. At this rate, there will be less than 10 minutes until the island is completely sunk. The camp needs to be sorted out and dismantled quickly. Let's go. It's a pity that we haven't played against China's Yang in this year's World Masters. If Metagross can compete with Yang's giant Gyarados for a while, then we will have the opportunity to truly measure its battle. Ability. Ivan's eyes fell on the sky not far away. Behind the giant Gyarados blooming in blue, and in front of the fat, pink Slowking with a golden hat, that simple back made Ivan has a profound memory. Master, don't you want to wait any longer? What should the World Elf Alliance do? Shakaris asked. Ivan narrowed his eyes slightly, and his tone was full of doubts. You said that this island sank early. Could it have something to do with Yang of China? It shouldn't be, Master, even if Tijipai is not there to command blindly. If these roaring whale kings finally land on the shore, the island will still sink. It's just a matter of sooner or later, Shakaris hurriedly explained. Besides, Master, with our strength, it is impossible for the central island of the world to sink in advance. How can it be possible for a mere Yang? Yes, it should be an accident, but this accident is too confusing. Is it because the Lottie Kappa we sent yesterday made the roaring whale king too excited? Even Yvonne couldn't understand it. What idiot came up with the idea of sending Lottie Kappa to dance with the roaring whale king yesterday? Miss Lily, our people are already halfway there. They said they have specially prepared a team of 10 Lottie Kappas, and they can even form a band. Sato-kun, the island is about to sink. Those people are here. Is there still a place for their Lottie Kappa to dance? Yuri Sakura wanted to slam the teacup to the ground in her hands, but when she thought about it, it wasn't right now. When he was angry, those eyes made him want to kill all those bastards, the roaring whale king. Miss Lily, this matter is not an error of your judgment. I am willing to explain it to you with the teacher. Sato Fuji bowed. Sato-kun, you know, we informed the teacher, and asked the teacher to send a band composed of Lottie Kappa. How many people are laughing at us? The World Masters actually let the Lottie Kappa band come here. Our decision has been you've become a laughing stock, you know. Lily Sakura finally couldn't control herself and collapsed on the ground. Her previous grace was completely gone. At this moment, her eyes were red and she just collapsed. Why did the island sink by the roaring whale king? Heartbreaking sounds came miserably from the camp in Sakura country. Miss Lily, this is not your fault. If it were me, I would also make this decision. The most important thing now is to evacuate the camp, take the flying elf, and leave the central island. The island is really about to sink. In order to get more favor from the howling whales before the polar bears and North America, Lily Sakura asked her teacher for a group of trainers and elves who are good at disco to go to the central island of the world. Such a decision, in the eyes of people who don't know the truth, is undoubtedly crazy. It's not that you're stupid. Howling whale king can dance. A sow can even climb a tree. If Yuri Sakura made a mistake in issuing the order, we can still rely on the results of the World Masters to make up for this mistake. However, the island has been sunk by the roaring whale king, so there is no World Masters. Lily Ying will definitely receive severe punishment if she returns home early this time. But, she didn't know. What kind of secrets are hidden behind the roaring whale king's disco? At this moment, Yang, who was related to the secret truth, and Wu Yuqian found an opportunity to arrive at the eye of the island in advance. They entered the secret realm through the secret passage of the eye of the island. Yang Yu and Wu Yuqian were dumbfounded at the same time. Little Reggie Locke was already carrying a suitcase he didn't know where he got it from, and a red scarf wrapped around his neck, as if he was a primary school student about to travel far away. How did you? Yang Yu's voice suddenly got stuck. Poppy was very curious about little Reggie Locke's look, especially the red scarf. The island is going to sink. Of course I have to prepare things. Little Reggie patted the suitcase, and then continued, this island's solar energy has only been charged for 12 days. If I don't leave here, the electricity will not be enough for me to play. Yang Yu. Please tell me something like a stone man, thank you. On the sea, on a ship with the imprint of Sakura country, happy music beats were heard on the deck. Several elves who looked a bit like pineapples were vaguely visible. At this moment, they were still holding some musical instruments in their hands. Beat times with a dynamic rhythm. Along the way, 10 Lottie Kappas worked tirelessly to share their happiness on the sea. The sailors in the ship seemed to be affected by this happiness. Under the sea breeze, they all turned into happy men. Finally, when they arrived at the target location according to the guidance of the radar map, question marks along the way followed immediately. What about the island? Gone. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 551. The island in the center of the world. Completely sunk. At this time, on the sea, the roaring whale kings looked at me and I looked at you. The small eyes that did not match their bodies seemed to be looking for the island beneath them. However, when they twist their fins to touch the island ground. What about the island? Why is it gone? They haven't had enough fun yet. Like flowers in the mirror or the moon in the water, the roaring whale kings wanted to fish up the island again, but unfortunately, it was a bit late. The world's biggest stage, if you have a mother, come. In the eyes of many trainers, there is no doubt that the roaring whale king has ascended to heaven. You. The roaring whale kings rubbed each other's fins, as if throwing blame at each other, swaying, diving deeper and deeper, diving deeper and deeper, and then disappeared in the sea area. Only the trainers stranded in the sky still stared angrily at the group of culprits who caused the island to sink. However, the roaring whale king ran away in such a dejected manner. Is this not absconding out of fear of crime? The roaring whale king has run away. Axie. What's going on with these roaring whale kings? Can't we just spray water up on the island like we did at the beginning? It seemed that after venting their anger for a while, most of the trainers slowly came to their senses. It seemed that they had no choice but to go home. The island is gone, and there is still a hammer game. Lao Zhang, we can still encounter this kind of thing. This roaring whale king is probably not a joke sent by monkeys to the sea, Wan Kaizu complained. Zhang Hui's mentality was still very stable. He shook his head and said, the Masters is gone, and it doesn't mean it will never be there forever. You can still come next year if you want, but a situation like this year will probably only happen once. Ha ha ha, yes. King Roaring Whale, hee hee. When I go back, I will learn how to dance, and I will sink this island next year. Wan Kaizu looked high-spirited, and Zhang Hui looked at each other. Jin Yifei sighed repeatedly. How old are you now and still so naive? You mine, Yang Yu, are you going back to the country directly? You came together when you came, right? If you go back to the country, can you take me with you? I don't want to go back all the way on the gemstone starfish, Wan Kaizu said. I should go back directly. The school is still on summer vacation at the moment. If I go back, I can just take my sister out to play. Yang Yu thought for a while, and he had almost finished traveling on the sea, so it was time to go back. It's a pity that he can't get the prize money from this year's World Masters. However, he has captured the rock god pillar Regirock, so it shouldn't be a loss. Yang Yu glanced unconvincingly in the direction of the dumb hat. At this time, on the dull head, the golden conch cap tilted up slightly, and in the darkness, the 7 orange beads did not flicker. Little Reggie Locke now lives in the dull golden conch cap. No one will notice if there is something hidden in the silly hat, and even if there is something, they will not deliberately reveal it. That is the crown of the king elf. Unless Dede takes it off on his own initiative, no one or elf can force him to take off the golden conch cap. This is a perfect place to hide little Reggie Locke. As for the suitcase, it was also stored in the super space in the silly hat. Of course, little Reggie Locke has to pay for accommodation if he lives in the dumb hat for a long time. After some bargaining, little Reggie Locke had to personally teach Dede how to use gravity moves. The learning machine can certainly allow Dede to master gravity in advance, but with little Reggie Locke's teaching, gravity moves will have better effects. What a treacherous human being. He is simply a profiteer. In order to live better, little Reggie Locke's posture had to match the stupid golden conch hat. If you lift the stupid hat at this time, you can see a stone barrier inside that looks like a lazy sheep. Over there. Teaching gravity can only allow little Reggie Locke to live for a month. If it wants to live there, it will have to teach Dede other moves. The accommodation time will be based on the rarity of the moves. Yang Yu feels like he is a genius. This is also thanks to the fact that Reggie Locke, the rock god pillar, only had a small core of wisdom at this time. If the rock god pillar had been complete at that time, the dull hat would definitely not be able to fit in it, and Yang Yu could not easily put the little Reggie Locke called out. At least not now. Wow. Yuan Fang. Yuan Fang. It would be great if there was a large water elf like Gyarados. Traveling on the sea would be so exciting. On the broad back of the salted fish king, he carried a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trainers. In addition to Yang Yu, Wu Yuqian, and Wan Kai's Zhang Huiyu and Jin Yifei were also on the back of the salted fish king. Finally, there were the two girls majoring in secret realm research. Bao Xiaoyan and Li Yuanfang. Xiaoyan, don't cry now. When the island sank, you cried so hard. Snot bubbles came out of your nose. Li Yuanfang pinched Bao Xiaoyan's red cheeks and said. Oops. I didn't know. I even forgot that I can sit on other people's elves. Wow. It's so scary. Such a big island will sink as soon as it sinks. Wow. My mentality is shattered. Bao Xiaoyan's exaggerated posture and voice were a kind of fun to travel on this sea. Soon, the trainers on the salted fish king's back were all amused by her. Seeing the bustle there, Wu Yuqian and Yang Yu glanced at each other. They were the only two people who understood the look, and they were very emotional for a moment. The real culprit for the sinking of the island is actually on the back of King Salted Fish. Also, Yang Yu lowered his head subconsciously. Looking at Tijipai in his arms, stamping his little feet on his knees, he didn't know whether to admire this little thing or what. When the whole island sank, it was still smiling, as if it was really a master conductor, and the rhythm ended at the end of the sinking. At the same time, I don't know how many trainers were frightened by the sinking of the island this time. One thing is that even a girl trainer on the entire island would feel scared. As for Bao Xiaoyan, who was so panicked and crying, she was definitely not a girl. Example. Roar. Apparently, the salted fish king, who heard the chatter behind him, also noticed Tijipai's feet this time. Sure enough, elves cannot be judged by their appearance. Even though Porco is smaller than this little guy, to be honest, the total number of girls that the salty fish king has frightened and cried over the past few months may not be as many as Porco can wag his fingers with. Waving your sleeves will not take away a single cloud. Hey, Yuanfang, are the instruments in our school bags turned off? Why is it suddenly ringing now? Diddy diddy. Diddy diddy. At this moment, a windy sound suddenly sounded out in the clear sky, like whoosh, which immediately attracted the attention of everyone on the salted fish king's back. Look. What is that? Zhang Huiyu, who was in a calm mood, almost had his glasses knocked off in shock. He quickly stood up and raised his head to look at the rolling clouds in the sky. Every day, city in the sky, Li Yuanfang exclaimed subconsciously. Bah! Yeah! Roar! The clouds suddenly became thicker. Oh no, it might rain heavily on the sea. Wu Yuqian's expression condensed. Castle in the sky. In the thick cirrus clouds, a castle is looming. The moment Yang Yukankan discovered the castle, all the cirrus clouds condensed and dissipated again in almost an instant. Finally, they dissipated completely, and at the same time, the sky became clear again. When I look up again to see the original city in the sky, is there still a shadow of the castle? That direction, my God, it's the direction from the central island of the world. No way, that's where we came from just now. Li Yuanfang's voice was trembling. I recorded the image. Bao Xiaoyan's weak voice sounded tremblingly, and at the same time there was a camera in his hand that was taking pictures. At this moment, Yang Yu's eyes and everyone else's eyes were all directed towards Bao Xiaoyan, who majored in secret realm research. City in the sky, could it be this? Under the dull golden conch cap, an extremely slight sound clicked. A new secret realm is coming, please vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 552. Now we are reporting the latest trainer information. The recently held annual World Trainer Masters was terminated early due to an accident. The World Center Island sank prematurely. According to relevant players, the premature sinking of the island was related to the group of king whales. Not long after the sinking of the World Center Island, a brand new Secret Realm image suddenly appeared above the sea. The Elf Alliance has sent Secret Realm researchers to analyze this video and confirm that it is not a man-made forgery. The Sky City appears again. The following is the release of video information about Castle in the Sky. Whether it is the Western Elf world or the Eastern Elf world, everyone has a beautiful imagination about the city in the sky. Some people say that it is the holy land of flying elves. In historical records, some trainers have seen the shadow of it in the Sky City. In fact, the entire Sky City looks like the ghost of that elf. On the back. That is the elf that controls mysterious power. Perhaps only it can have the ability to make an island fly into the sky. Its name is Lugia. LaRue. In the small room, Larulus crossed his hands and put them on his chest angrily, and shook his head to the side as if he was angry. Silicon hiss. Oh, oh, oh. An extremely round coal ball, even the newborn hands are round and round. It seems to be holding something in the hand, trying to please the angry Larulus. LaRue. Larulus turned his head. He didn't want to see the black and round doormat in front of him. Is this a big round watermelon meant to be swallowed in one bite? She will be angry when the little master comes back. When the little master is angry, Larulus will be angry too. It's no use trying to please. Snap. The door opened. Hey, let me go, what the hell is this? Poppy. Mum. Yang Yu's hands were shaking when he opened the door. He knew Larulus was sitting on the sofa, but what was this big black balloon floating next to Larulus? Oh, it even had hands. LaRue. Larulus, who was sitting on the sofa angrily, immediately raised his head, jumped down carefully from the sofa, patted the little white skirt on his body, and ran towards Yang Yu's side. Lalu lalu. Yo, long time no see. Larulus. Yang Yu knelt down and stretched out his left hand, allowing Larulus to run along the palm of his hand to his shoulder. The little dream demon immediately floated down from Yang Yu's hair, looking at the man he hadn't seen for a long time. Good friend. LaRue. While welcoming Yang Yu home on Yang Yu's shoulder, Larulus put one hand on her little skirt and pointed the other hand angrily at the big guy floating in the sky. Poppy. Tijapai opened his big eyes and looked at this new beautiful sister. He was so quiet for a while that he even forgot to wave his hand, and stayed obediently in Yang Yu's hand, motionless. Of course Yang Yu saw this unique ghost-type elf. To be honest, it wasn't a ghost when we met last time. Why did it look like a Swifeng Kaiu this time? Swifeng Kaiu is an elf that looks similar to a hot air balloon. Why did Gaisai suddenly turn into a hot air balloon? Also, how could Gaisai grow a pair of hands? Could it be that Ghost has evolved into Ghost? That's not right either. You know, Ghost Stone is an elf with an inverted triangle shape and a pointy shape, and his figure should be quite slim. How did he become like this pig? Could it be? Is the pig-headed elf from Dream Eater died? Didn't I tell you not to dye pigs casually? This is not a ghost stone, it is clearly a ghost pig head. The little dream demon pursed her lips, and there was a swish in her eyes, as if a cold light flashed through her eyes. Her sharp eyes seemed to be able to cut the fat ball floating in the air from the middle. The black coal briquettes trembled all over. This sharp ghostly aura was even more powerful than Larulus's superpower. In an instant, his stomach began to churn. Brother. Are you back? Why didn't you call me in advance when you came back? Outside the door, Yang Xiao came back with the express delivery. Yang Xiao's eyelids twitched, and he suddenly realized that something was missing at home. Looking at the swollen ghost stone, his two beautiful eyebrows suddenly stood up. Ghost stone. Silicone, Si. Plop. In the shocked eyes of Yang Yu, Tijipai, Little Dream Demon and Mini Dragon, a huge watermelon suddenly spit out from the mouth of the floating coal briquettes and rolled directly to the ground. Is there such an operation? Suddenly, Yang Yu remembered that in the meteor forest, Gengui Liahe, the Little Dream Demon's master, pulled out a super tower stupid king from his mouth, but it was Gengui Liahe's mouth. It's big enough, and the belly is big enough, so it doesn't seem to be deformed. The ghost in front of me is clear. It has really evolved, but why does it feel like it is so different from not evolving? There are two more round hands. Oh, rightward arrow, oh. Wow, brother Yang Yu, it's Tijipai and a mini dragon. Poppy. Tijipai's eyes were very bright. When he saw Yang Xiao, he took the initiative to reach out his hand and waved it, as if he wanted to break away from Yang Yu's hand and enter Yang Xiao's arms. Mum. The mini dragon's eyes seemed to have a feeling of meeting an opponent. Now the only thing in its eyes was the big watermelon that rolled to the ground. Vaguely, it seemed to be curious about how the ghost stuffed such a big watermelon into its mouth. The mini dragon had never swallowed food larger than its own mouth. A little bit, eager to give it a try. Mum. Hey. Mini dragon, where are you going? Yang Xiao kicked her feet, holding Tijipai in her arms while looking at the mini dragon that suddenly flew out, and exclaimed loudly. Oh my god, it can't swallow this big watermelon in one bite like ghost stone, right? Yang Yu swallowed his saliva subconsciously, watching the mini dragon circling around the big watermelon and still unable to swallow it. He seemed to understand a little bit. Yang Xiao blinked. Wow, you must not imitate ghost stone. Ghost stone is as stupid as a pig. I told him several times that watermelons should be cut into pieces to eat, but he still takes them whole. Come and swallow. Silicon hiss. Oh, asterisk, oh. Swallowing it whole will definitely feel better than eating it one bite at a time. However, Ghost Stone still felt that what the little master said made sense. After all, the green skin on the outside tasted too hard and was not as delicious as the red inside of the watermelon. Just like Zongzi. Mum. With a thud sound, the mini dragon hit the watermelon with its head. When it bounced back, it was already staring at stars. Ghost Stone on the side had his eyes wide open when he heard the sound of his head hitting a watermelon. This watermelon must be particularly delicious and sweet. In this hot summer, what could be better than watermelon to quench your thirst? After. Let the little master take the mini dragon to buy watermelon. As long as the mini dragon butts its head, it can definitely tell the difference between good and bad. Silicon hiss. Ghost Stone's slanted eyes turned around. Snapped. LaRue. Asking for votes. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 553. The watermelon was not directly cut into several segments. After cleaning, it was cut directly from the middle, half for Yang Xiao and half for Yang Yu. Both of them sat on the sofa, holding half a watermelon in their arms. Then they gave each of the elves a small spoon, and the family gathered around the big watermelon and scooped it up. Brother, Dada Wang is here. There is a watermelon frozen in the refrigerator. Let him come out to eat it too. I'll get it. Yang Xiao put the watermelon on the coffee table first, and Larula's little spoon bit by bit. He stuffed watermelon flesh into his mouth and ate it, with a satisfied smile on his face. The round ball Ghost Stone next to him looked at the small spoon in his hand, and then opened his big mouth. He felt that he might as well just swallow it in one bite. It would be too troublesome to scoop up the watermelon. LaRue. Larula's patted the flesh of the watermelon with a small spoon, signaling Ghost Stone to come and eat too. Ghost Stone grinned and suddenly opened his huge mouth excitedly. Snapped. Ghost Stone cried bitterly, it was Larulus who made him eat it. Larulus was sulking, how could you eat watermelon like that? You just finished it in one bite, little master, do you want some more? Tijipai, who was hanging around Yang Yu, opened his eyes wide while chewing. In its eyes, Sister Lalulus was so powerful. She could explode a big black balloon as big as a hammer at such a young age. So amazing. Mini Dragon, give me the spoon quickly, this thing is inedible. Yang Yu was not paying attention and was about to feed the mini dragon watermelon with a spoon, but the mini dragon seemed to be greedy for the taste of watermelon on the spoon. Just won't let go. Me. 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 Oh my god, why don't you let me scoop it up for you? I'll scoop it up for you. If you didn't have hands, I wouldn't be feeding you. Come on, let go. Brother, chilled watermelon. Yang Xiao jumped out of the kitchen holding the steaming watermelon. Dadu, Dadu, let's go out to eat watermelon together. Hey, mini dragon, you can't eat that iced thing now, it will give you a stomachache. Yang Yu took advantage of the mini dragon's attention to shift to the iced watermelon, and finally took the spoon out of the mini dragon's mouth. Mum. The mini dragon hung on Yang Yu's arm with its neck hanging down, looking at Yang Yu with tears in its eyes, as if the baby was in pain. Wow, brother, just feed it. It looks so pitiful. Yang Xiao really likes these weird little elves, especially the mini dragon's obedient expression. He really can't resist it. Xiao Yu, you don't know, I have a friend. His round land shark, which is the original form of the biting land shark, an elf with both dragon and ground elements, ate some ice cream and immediately suffered from diarrhea. Got it? Yang Yu scooped up a piece of watermelon with a spoon and waved it in front of the mini dragon's eyes. The mini dragon was unmoved, his eyes still full of desire for iced watermelon. Wow! Really? The round shark, that is also a very cute elf, but, brother, why would your friend feed the round shark ice cream? He is too bad. The round shark is so small, but it is still a dragon. How can you eat ice cream if you are both connected to the ground? Me. 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 The mini dragon now became arrogant and a little arrogant. When he talked about the round shark and ice cream, his bright eyes seemed to express, is the round shark worthy of it? Only rookies get stomachaches from eating ice cream. As a master, this mini dragon can eat ice cream without getting a stomachache. Yeah. Dada emerged from the elf ball, and at the same time, Yang Yu took out another elf ball. Little Reggie Rock didn't want to stay in the elf ball all the time. Yang Yu also understood in his heart that if the Salted Fish King hadn't been so big, he might have destroyed the rented house as soon as he came out. A certain landlord was so angry that Yang Yu also wanted to summon the Salted Fish King. Should I buy a villa by the sea? Yang Yu thought for a moment, feeling a little bloated. Wow, brother, what kind of elf is this? Ha ha ha, is it a robot? No, this is made of stone. What kind of elf is this? I have never seen it in books. LaRue. See his. Larulus and Ghost Stone both looked at the little Regirock made of stone, their eyes also full of curiosity. Larulus wondered why such a small stone moved. Ghost Stone was curious about what it would be like to eat such a stone. Do you want to eat watermelon too? Yang Xiao scooped out a small piece from the spoon and handed it to little Reggie Locke. Reggie Locke Jr.? Does it look like it can eat watermelon? It eats rocks. What you eat is dirt. Not these things. I don't eat melon. Yang Xiao. Yang Xiao's hand suddenly trembled, but fortunately Gitang's eyesight was sharp and his tongue was quick, and his long tongue wrapped around the fallen watermelon and ate it into his stomach at the same time. The watermelon fed by the little master is just different. Delicious. Brother, is this really a robot? It can actually speak human language. This is amazing. Little Reggie Rock didn't want to talk to Yang Xiao. He felt that his IQ had been insulted. He was not a robot, he was a god. Do you know he was a god? However, the surprised expression of the human in front of him was still very useful to little Reggie Locke. By the way, what the hell, this ghost was probably not raised by his grandma, why is he so fat? With his keen insight, little Reggie Locke discovered the ghost stone with evil intentions. This guy, actually wanted to eat me. This is also an elf, but such an elf is very, very rare. Its name is Reggie Locke. Yang Yu patiently introduced it to Yang Xiao, and at the same time reached out to pick up little Reggie Locke. Quite heavy. Reggie Locke, Yang Xiao searched for knowledge about this type of elves in his mind, but still couldn't find any memory related to Reggie Locke. Brother, how did you meet it? Why do I have no impression at all? No, is there really such an elf? Yang Yu smiled and said, there are still many unknowns in the elven world waiting for us to explore in the future. Don't you know now that there are elves like Reggie Locke in this world? Yang Xiao nodded, squinted his eyes and smiled happily, haha, that's right. Brother, tell me how you met it. Yes, yes, and this mini dragon, brother, you the mini dragon. Yang Yu suddenly turned around, he just didn't pay attention, the mini dragon. Yeah. At this time, the mini dragon had a long strip in his stupid hand, and there seemed to be a layer of frost on the big white nose. The whole dragon was trembling, and it was so stiff that it almost turned into a popsicle. What is this operation? Freeze yourself into a popsicle? Mum. Under Yang Yu's unknowing gaze, the mini dragon was trying hard to feel the coldness of the iced watermelon. Even though its body was trembling, it could persevere. It also eats iced watermelon. Eat ice cream. Drink ice and drink. If this bit of ice can't bear it, how can it fight against stronger ice power in the future? This is a different kind of beating. Interesting. Little Reggie Locke's eyes flickered. The master's elves in front of me, none of them are simple. Even this mini dragon looks silly on the surface. Asking for votes.